either we are there or not, ITSPmagazine still gets the best stories. There are plenty of conferences and all sorts of events that spark our curiosity and allow us to start conversations with some of the world's brightest minds. In person or virtually, we sit down with them at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Together, we discover what the synergy of these three elements means for the future of humanity. Knowledge is power, now more than ever. CrowdSec, the collaborative and open source cybersecurity solution. Analyze behaviors, respond to attacks, and share signals across the community for free. Let's make the internet safer together. Learn more at crowdsec.net.
EdgeScan offers continuous vulnerability intelligence as a service, accurately identifying vulnerabilities and exposures across the full stack. All threats are verified by cybersecurity experts, providing exploitable risk and remediation guidance, virtually false positive free. Learn more at edgescan.com.
Pantera, the leader in automation security validation, allows organizations to continuously test the integrity of all cybersecurity layers by emulating real-world attacks at scale to pinpoint the exploitable vulnerabilities and prioritize remediation towards business impact. Learn more at www.pantera.io.
Marco.
Sean, where are you?
I am on the road.
And where?
Heading to a ton of neon and jingling coins.
Neon lights?
And some hacking.
All right. Okay. I'm starting. Are you going through a desert?
I am going through a desert.
Okay. And, I think I get the feeling.
I feel the top is down. It's pretty warm out. It's nice and dry. And every now and then a dust storm comes and destroys the windshield, so you can't see very clearly. But you still make it. I've had that experience, by the way.
You had it? It's just like, okay, I'm knocking on wood. I'm never going to have that.
But once you arrive, Marco,
you're going to see that big sign, right?
You see the welcome
to the fabulous
to Las Vegas. Exactly.
And that's where we're going.
That's where we're headed. Exactly. We're chats on the road to Black Hat. And of course, once we're there in Vegas, there's a lot going on, including DEF CON, which we're covering as well, and who knows what else. But today is all about Black Hat and the briefings and the trainings and the keynotes and the sessions and the arsenals and the everything under the sun that brings the biggest hacker community together to help solve the world's technical problems, which ultimately hopefully help solve some of the societal ones as well. But you got to start somewhere. So we'll start with the tech. There is a social engineering thing going on there too. But there
is that.
Anyway, Marco, this is a tradition.
It is a tradition. And let me say that for the people watching the video, because this time we're actually going to do the video as well, they already see that there is Steve Wylie from Black Hat.
Poor Steve is sitting there going, what these guys are doing?
Are they going to announce me or not? But for those that are listening, the podcast is the usual rambling that Sean and I do every time before we start getting into the conversation. But I think, Sean, it's time to welcome Steve. Good to see you again. It's always a birthday when we see you for ITSP Magazine.
That's right. 7 years, I believe. Is that right?
Yes, we were born in the desert.
Who's counting anyway?
At Black Hat. Yes.
Well, happy 7th birthday to you guys. It's good to be back with you.
Always a joy. And every year is different. A lot the same, but a lot changes. Certainly the last couple of years have put a light on things in a different way and helped us appreciate things differently and look at things differently. And I suspect a lot of how the last year or two have come together have helped shape what this year's Black Hat's going to look like. And for those who haven't heard our conversations in the past years, Steve, maybe just a quick word from you. so folks know who you are. I know you as the GM of Black Hat, but I think there's been some shifts in title and things like that as well. So what's going on with Steve?
Yeah, so general manager at Black Hat, but I've also got a broader role within Informa Tech, so looking after the cybersecurity portfolio. So that includes all of our cybersecurity related businesses. But for purposes of today, GM of Black Hat, I've been with Black Hat for, I guess, I'm probably about the same age as you guys, about 7 years now, so we can share a birthday together. But yeah, this is, we're kind of coming out of, hopefully, what has been a weird couple of years. And it's been good. I've been able to connect with you guys even through that. Last year we held the event in Vegas in the desert, and it was just so great to be back, right, in some form, any form. But it was a much smaller event than the normal Black Hat, just given the situation. We were just happy to be back in Vegas. This year things are feeling like they're getting back to where we were, which is just a really good sign. And I'm getting that sentiment from people that they're just glad to be seeing people, glad to be connecting in person again. And while we're not out of the woods, we've made a lot of progress towards that.
Yeah, and we have always been connecting no matter what. And the big question I remember 2 years ago was like, what's going to happen now? Like, oh, we have to go hybrid, and then we have to go virtual, and then it's going to be hybrid. And many times we touched on the fact that are we ever going to go back to just in person, which is wonderful, of course. Everybody's excited, but it also opened other opportunities to create an event that is maybe even has a wider reach than the local event. So tell me a little bit about what can we expect on that side this year?
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good point, Marco. Like, during this, we've been sort of managing through it. And I think we talked about in previous calls, like early on in the pandemic, when everything is switched to virtual, it was a new playbook, entirely new playbook. And we had to really sort of engineer that from the ground up. And we made the decision at that point that, for Black Hat, what makes sense is to focus on the content. That's what people know us for, right? So we focused on making sure that we had, even in a digital format, the best research. And it was good. It was a good virtual event, and it was a real learning opportunity for us. Last year, obviously, it was not quite back to in-person events. So we had the event as a hybrid event. And we were sort of figuring out that, to your point, the virtual component does have some nice pros, right? As much as we all love the in-person experience, and nothing replaces that in-person experience, there's some benefits you get with virtual. You get to come back and watch all the content, right? Because when you're in the Mandalay Bay, you can only watch one session at a time. So there's that, right? You get the full, all the recordings from the whole program, which people seem to really like. And then to your other point, it does help for people to be able to access the event. So we saw from 2019, where we had in our overall registration, we had about 112 countries represented. For our event last year, it was 140 countries. So that's one metric there that just shows that in terms of accessibility, having the virtual component is really good. I think especially this year, when we're still not out of the pandemic, there's still people that will have reservations about being in a large venue in person, as they should be, and for some people they are electing to attend the event virtually, and I'm happy we're still able to use those learnings from the last couple of years and help it to shape what does the future of hybrid events look like. I feel like Black Hat's been a real sort of writing the blueprint on that for a lot of big events, because it was really honestly uncharted territory for most event organizers. We've tried to be on the cutting edge of that in terms of what should this look like in the future, and how do you manage both of your audiences in both in person and virtual.
Yeah, and I think there's an interesting color associated with this year's event as well. Silver, right? 25th anniversary is another reason to celebrate. And the reason I bring that up is just the history of the conference. And when you have to shift so dramatically, it can be difficult to hold on to some of the traditions. And when you start to bring things back, refolding them back in. And I know, I don't want to jump the gun too quickly. I know Chris Krebs as a keynote is going to be taking a look at that topic. Maybe we'll get that into a second. But just from an overall conference perspective, where do you see things sitting now compared to 25 years ago? What's the growth been like? How have things changed from a conference perspective in the last quarter century now?
Yeah, it's a big year for us. So yeah, silver anniversary, and we're excited about that. And I'm happy to say that I think there's going to be some nice swag in the Black Hat retail store that commemorates the 25 years, because it is an important milestone. And yeah, Chris Krebs, our day one keynote speaker, is gonna dig into that a little bit, as someone who's been around and has had some just various vantage points on our community and on the industry that we're in, and will be sharing his thoughts on that, where we've come. And while I've only been around for 7 or 8 years of Black Hat's role here, I mean, it's certainly what I hear a lot from the review board is it's pretty crazy how this community has grown up in the last 25 years, and how a lot of those people that were involved with some of the earlier cons are, they're now, CISOs and heads of security, and, and they've started companies, gone the entrepreneurial route. So I think what I hear from them is just how taken aback they are at how far we've come. And we've seen sort of everyone progress along in their careers along the way. And obviously cybersecurity has only gotten exponentially larger in that 25 years, right? I mean, it's become a mainstream topic now. I mean, I think we're all getting sort of used to, hearing about some of the challenges in cyber. It's now, mainstream news all the time. So that's a big leap from where this community started, in the basements, 25 years back.
A quick fun note is that when we were creating the page for the two event in Las Vegas, I learned from Sean back in the days, you call it like Hacker Summer Camp. And as he wrote that, I'm like, are you sure that the new generation actually to even know what that is? It's kind of like, it made me think like how much, what you just said, how much has changed. And you mentioned to be in the mainstream, but I feel like it's also changing the way it is in the mainstream. I'm seeing more and more embracing it as a normal thing to talk about, and not just there's the breach, there's the hackers, the cyber criminal, the bad one, and so forth. So even in the 7 years we've been covering this, we've seen this evolution, which it's a positive one, in my opinion. And I can even think 25 years ago. Of course, Sean was probably there, so who knows how has it changed, Sean?
I wasn't there 25 years ago. I don't have the chops to be there at that point in time. But no, I think you bring an interesting point, because I think it's probably a good time to bring in the other keynote, Kim Zetter, investigative journalist, who does look at these things very seriously and very in depth. And I'm excited to hear that she has a keynote on day 2. And I don't know if you can give us a little tease of what she might be bringing to the table as her.
Yeah. So I'm also really excited about Kim's talk. She's a storyteller, right? And she's covered so many of the big events over the last years, and I think she's still sort of finalizing her talk, but safe to say she'll be drawing on her experience covering everything from nation state attacks. Obviously, I'm sure there'll be quite a heavy coverage of Stuxnet and the role that played for our industry, right? That's a topic she wrote a book on, in fact. So I think she brings an interesting perspective that not many have, that really being sort of in the front seat, vantage point of a lot of this that's played out over the years.
Can you give us, and I don't know, normally I have the theme on the tip of my tongue. What's this year's theme, and how does that kind of play through some of the rest of the stuff? Because we're talking keynotes now, which is part of the briefings. there's a lot of other stuff which we'll get into, but how does the theme, what is it? How does it shape the conversations for the briefing specifically?
For sure. So we always, we don't really kind of prescriptively go in with themes on Black Hat. We like to, all of our content comes from the community, right? So we, each year we do the call for papers and we get submissions from researchers around the world, and themes sort of bubble up through that, which is, that's one of my favorite, parts of this job, is working with the review boards and kind of hearing that dialogue that happens as they're vetting the different submissions and what gets through. And so I think one thing that jumped out at me this year was there's quite a few talks that are related to what's happening in Ukraine right now. So I think that's going to be really interesting. There's 2 or 3 briefings that are going to touch on that. So it's always nice to see when the content at Black Hat is sort of mirroring what's playing out in the real world around us. And certainly, Kim and Chris, our 2 keynote speakers, are right there as well in terms of what's happening in the real world. Chris, coming from his role as director of cybersecurity, right, for the U.S., shares that he had a unique vantage point on a lot of events that have played out over the last few years. So I think that's going to be kind of a key theme, is what we're seeing in society. And to Marco's point earlier, I can't say that we're going to solve any societal problems with Black Hat this year, but it's nice when the content reflects what's happening in the world around us.
Yeah, as it should. I mean, you can't keep as many still think they can do. Technology is separated from humanity and society. It's all feeding on each other, and again, because it is part of each other. So it's great to see the evolution. And Sean mentioned, that there is like social engineering, which has become more and more of a conversation and trainings, and the human side of people being in the job. So
including disinformation campaigns, some of the softer side of cybersecurity and how that's playing out as well.
Yeah. So give us some other insights for what people can expect this year and there.
Yeah, so I always kind of like to pull out a couple of briefings that catch my attention as I'm going through it. So I'll give you guys some highlights on some of the sessions that I'm looking to check out this year. And again, some of this relates to what's happening in Ukraine. But there's one session, Glitched on Earth by Humans. So this is a look at vulnerability in the SpaceX Starlink sat system, which knocked out internet access in Ukraine and Eastern Europe recently. So we're seeing how that's playing out in the real world. I think that'll be a really interesting session for parts of the world that are dependent on satellite-based internet. That's very important. I'm looking forward to seeing a talk that Katie Mazuris is doing on sort of how the bug bounty program has evolved, right? So she's obviously been very involved with that, with her roles at Microsoft and with Hack the Pentagon. So she's going to do a talk that really talks about where we've come with bug bounty programs and where we're going. And I think that is so important to our community, right? A lot of them are involved with bug bounty programs, either hosting them or applying to them. So I think that'll be a good talk. I think there's another one related to Ukraine. There's a talk that's covering some of the technical details around InDestroyer, which is sort of a second version of an attack that affected Ukraine's power grid back in 2016. So they're going to sort of do a bit of a reverse engineering of InDestroyer 2, as they're calling it, compared to the original attack on the Ukraine power grid back in 2016. Speaking of disinformation, there's a talk about the growth of election disinformation. This particular talk was looking at the Venezuelan election, but obviously there's parallels that can be drawn around the world and how disinformation campaigns are affecting the electoral process. There is a talk that caught my eye because I don't know if you guys remember, back in 2021, there was a law passed in China about how researchers needed to disclose vulnerabilities, basically saying that they had to, in parallel with disclosing to the affected vendor, they had to disclose to the Chinese government So we've got a researcher that's going to be doing a talk on that called Dragon Tails: Measuring Dependence on the International Vulnerability. Sorry, that's the wrong one. It's growth. It's let me find the right one here. Yeah, Dragon Tails: Measuring Dependence on International Vulnerability Research. So that'll be interesting, looking just at the effects of that 2021 passage of the law and kind of what that means for researchers today.
Yeah, you had me at Dragon Tails.
Yeah, good name. There's a talk on, again, kind of relating to Ukraine. Some researchers from SentinelOne are doing a talk on real cyber or espionage, DDoS, leaks, and wipers in the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So they're looking back at some of the security operations from starting back at the beginning of 2022, specifically the use of nation-state wiper malware in cyber warfare. So really, yeah, again, so just some really kind of compelling, talks. That's just a handful of the ones that grabbed my attention. It's a big program, and we've got 90 briefings this year. Most of them are happening in person, which is great. So yeah, it's going to be a really good year content-wise.
Nice. Yeah, there were a few that we flagged as well. I think, with the extent, I don't know, I missed Dragon Tails, which why even more excited me when you mentioned it. I have to figure out how to get that. But we had a few more around. I'm always looking at things operationally. So when there's one around shared narrative of cyber incidents, which I think is going to be cool. Threat hunting is always a topic. It's of interest.
I think I saw our very own Grifter on that one.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
That was a big draw for me to get to chat with Neil again. And what was the other one? Okay, there's the Web3. It's been a hot topic, so that one caught my attention as well. There's a few others we're gonna hopefully get to talk about as topics and get to see his sessions.
I'm actually looking forward for a friend Adam Shostak. It catch my attention.
Yeah.
As a big Star Wars fan, a fully trained Jedi you're not. And
That's
so,
right.
I want to hear him do the whole presentation talking like Yoda.
That would be good.
Another good storyteller.
If you lead with a session title like that, you better deliver, right? So that's
exactly.
That one caught my eye as well.
You definitely set the bar. So talk about where the bar is high. Trainings. What can you tell us about some of the trainings going on, Steve?
I thought you were talking about the actual bar at the convention center. I think
that bar.
That's in the back of the car on the way out to Vegas.
There you go.
You just turn around and grab something.
Yeah, so we're planning a large training program, and I don't know if you remember back last year, all the trainings were run virtually. So we didn't bring any of the trainings to Las Vegas. This year we've changed the model, and this is a model that we're using now at all of our events around the world, which is that we're running both in-person trainings and virtual trainings, not as a simulcast, right? So that's, you can do that. You can offer training in a room and simulcast it out to an online audience. But our belief all along has been that you really can't be present in both locations at the same time as a trainer. And, given the nature of Black Hat's training, it's the most technical training in the world, right? So it's, we've always felt it's important that our trainers are, in the moment present with the people that are signed up to take the class. So the way we're viewing trainings is some of our courses are being offered in person, some of them are being offered online. And what it's allowed us to do is actually expand our program. That we don't have any physical limitation on number of rooms. We're always sort of fighting with the venue, the Mandalay Bay, on getting more space for trainings. That sort of resolves a lot of that, for at least for a few years, where we can grow our program virtually. And for a lot of people, that suits them better. They don't have to jump on a plane. They can take the class from their living room, and they have been. And we've seen, even through the pandemic, the demand for training has been so strong, even in a virtual platform. The attendees don't seem to mind. But that said, we're still really glad that it's coming back in person. It'll be a big program this year, but also have a nice complement of virtual courses.
I'd love to know the expo, like the business whole, how it's coming back. I mean, everybody's just every time I talk to someone, is like, oh, we're back to normal. It's the all good school events and everything. I mean, is there like a hybrid aspect of that as well? It's, are you expanding that as well, going back to what it used to be? What's up with that?
Yeah, we've got over 350 sponsors, which is it's a new high watermark for Black Hat. So it's
impressive.
The business hall is very strong, and yeah, we've sort of along the way we've adopted a model where that includes a virtual event, right? So we've been all in on a platform called SwapCard for the last few years, doing all of our events on that platform, and we've got it pretty well fine tuned at this point where it's not just the business hall, but it's all the sponsored content as well. The sponsors have a lot of content that they produce that we are able to serve up in the building in physical rooms, but also getting simulcast broadcast out in real time to our SwapCard audience. So it's sort of, I think for a sponsor, it means they do kind of have to be present in two places at once because they have online people that want to talk to them and attend their sessions and hear about their products. So it's a bit of it's a tax on the sponsors, in that they really have to make sure that they're keeping an eye on both customers.
I gotta say that I'd be curious. I don't know if you can, but just an overview maybe on your opinion and what the sponsors felt like through these 2 years, right? I had many, they're like, yeah, if I can now be in person, I'd rather now go. And I'm talking about many other events around the world. But then I feel like despite that first reaction, which is totally justifiable, I think that they, like the event itself, have seen that there is an opportunity, like from crisis, that could be an opportunity. So do you feel like they are experiencing the same thing that the event itself, so reaching more people by doing that one thing because you're streaming all over the world?
Yeah. So absolutely right. I think sponsors are realizing, I will say in the early first year, sponsors were completely thrown off by a virtual event. Nobody had any practice in doing them. They didn't know how to virtual event. Everyone knows how to booth, how to event, but they don't know how to do it in a virtual. So that was a real learning curve, I think, for a lot of sponsors, and we heard that a lot. I think where we are now, a couple of years into this, they have realized that there's actually a tremendous opportunity in having a digital expansion to their presence at the event. They can reach a lot more people. They need to think differently about it, right? Because really in the online environment, it's much more about the content. People are less likely to walk up and talk to somebody in a virtual environment. It just doesn't happen as much, but they're, if they focus their engagement around the content, and a lot of sponsors put some fantastic content together with great speakers. And if they hit the nail on the head with that, they can get really good engagement in the virtual platform as well. Sponsors were incredibly patient over the last couple of years, and as we figured it out, it was great to see.
We all had to reinvent.
Yeah, we did it. We all had to reinvent. And
I mean, even ourselves, we're like, okay, wait, we're not going. Then how we're gonna do the chats on the road? Of course, we didn't record literally driving, which was a very fun things to do for Sean and I, and we're looking forward to do that again. But we have experimented, and I think we kind of nailed down this multimedia, interviewing people on the floor, but also going live streaming from certain, even a different part of the world while somebody is watching it maybe online and somebody is right there on the floor. So you kind of put everybody together. I like it, to be honest. I really enjoy it.
I think it's forever changed the model for these large scale events like a Black Hat. I mean, it just it absolutely makes sense that we're expanding accessibility to a digital audience. People that don't want to jump on a plane, can't afford to jump on a plane, right? That's another factor. It's more cost effective for them. So I like that we're making the event and the content more accessible to more people.
Yep, and I'm thrilled that we're part of it and can have these conversations and many of them. I want to go to One of my favorite spots, and you kind of you have to set yourself up when you go into this space, the arsenal. You want to be in a frame of mind to go in there. And I mean, it's just a collection of some super smart people and groups of folks doing really wacky, cool things with tools and research and all kinds of stuff that, I mean, I can't even describe it properly, but you can, I'm sure, Steve. So maybe give some folks some insight into what's going on in Arsenal this year.
Yeah. So I'm happy to say Arsenal is back in full force, which is really great to see. So a huge number of submissions for tools. And yeah, for those that aren't familiar with Arsenal, it's an open source tool area of the event where we allow different open source owners to come in and talk through their tool, and for the cyber professional, tools like, open source tools they're in their toolkit for doing their jobs. And it's really important for them to hear what the latest and greatest is and hear what, novel, approach somebody's taken to solve problems. So for Arsenal this year, I think we've got about 80 tools that we're going to be demonstrating. So again, for those that aren't familiar, it's a true demo and interaction, right? So you've got the person that owns the project at the event, giving a live demo of the tool. They're very accessible. They're done in really small groups, so you can get some good one-on-one time with the presenter and ask questions, and all that's going to be broadcast out to our online platform as well. So whether you're there in person or virtually, you've got access to the full Arsenal program.
Yeah, and then I mean the list, you said 80, I think is what I heard, Steve. The list is massive. And then this is actionable stuff. I mean, this isn't just some fluffy, let me see if I can create some new thing to get some attention. These are tools that the community uses.
Yeah. And, well, one example of that, Sean, is Metasploit, right? Metasploit's a huge tool that the community uses, and we've got the Metasploit guys going to be there to talk through some of the the latest improvements with that tool set. That's the one that jumped off the page for me when I was reading through the descriptions.
Yeah, exactly. So what else is going on, Steve? Any other special programs? I mean, there's this thing, 0 day or day zero. Sorry, what 0 day is something else. Day zero. Yeah. What's that about?
Yeah, Day Zero is a program we launched a few years ago, and we've kind of refined it each year. But it's basically your introduction to Black Hat, and I think especially applicable for newbies. We have to remember that we were talking about 25 years of this event in our industry, but there's a lot of new people coming into the industry as well, right? I think last stat I saw was something like 700,000 new cybersecurity professionals in 2022 or 2021, I guess it would be. So we need to make sure that we're sort of welcoming them into the community. So Day Zero is Black Hat's way of doing that. We like to bring various folks from our review board and staff to do talks on how to best navigate Black Hat. And it could be everything from, wearing the right kind of shoes to here's some of the hot topics that, from the lens of the review board that sifted through all of the abstracts and did all the voting on those. So that starts on the Tuesday night before the event. It's a great way to kind of, get onboarded into the event. And that's back in full swing again, which we're really, glad to see.
Well, I can certainly be a little overwhelming the first time that you go there. I remember well. And plus the fact that as we were making jokes at the beginning, it happened in a city that is full of things that happen and distraction and stuff. It's, it makes it even more overwhelming, but an incredible experience. And we are so glad that this is happening again in a semi-normal, whatever that means, way, and that is the 25th anniversary as well. So that's again a big thing. And Sean, we have big plans ourselves. So maybe
we do. First stop is the store to get the silver swag.
I wasn't talking about that.
For those looking, I have the hat on, sporting the hat.
I notice it.
Yes. I have plenty, not enough, but plenty of Black Hat gear floating around. Even with the move, a lot of it made the journey with me, East Coast. But no, jokes aside, the store is there, but I think what I'll find in the store more than just merchandise is probably a lot of my friends. And I think
right.
that's a big part of this. And I was going to say in the beginning, and I didn't get a chance to, just every group has their own sense of bonding. And I can see that in different groups and different cons that I go to, but nothing stands out quite like the group community of Black Hat. I mean, it's just so strong, this group of folks. And to your point, Steve, it continues to grow. And I think with the growth, it gets stronger as well. And so I'm excited to be part of that, and fortunate that we have a chance, Marco and I, to have this conversation with you, Steve, who I consider a friend, and Chris and Kim to kind of help further kick this into gear as part of our chats on the road, and lots of conversations with our friends like Adam Showstack and many others we're going to meet for the first time this year. And and then so much more from the floor when we're covering things live during the event. So there's a lot to talk about, and I'm grateful that we get a chance to talk about it, and I'm grateful to you, Steve, and the rest of the Black Hat team for including us in the event and giving us space to do that, because
absolutely,
it's really important.
It really is. It's a community in the true sense of the word, and you feel that as soon as you get to Black Hat and DEF CON as well. I mean, it's just this is people are meeting their friends. This is not just these aren't just work colleagues. These are friends. These are the people they hang out with and can really connect with and identify with.
And it's also amazing how, and thanks to the technology, I mean, this is a community that is used to technology. So, with the first little embarrassment, maybe we'll figure it out to keep everybody united, close to each other, a lot of Zoom, a lot of conversation, streaming. And this is exactly, by the way, what we're going to keep doing as well. At this point, we have approached things in a multimedia kind of way. We stream on social media the conversation, either with people on the floor, not on the floor. Then we turn it into a podcast, and we have a few things in our pocket. But as Sean said, it's always the tradition to talk to you as the first conversation that we do every year. So, and we are honored that you always answer and you show up. So thank you, right. Thank you very much.
Well, I like it because I kind of feel like I can set the bar real low, and then everyone that comes after me is, I'm sure, doing a fantastic job.
and Sean is talking about not that bar. He's not talking about that bar.
Well, if it's low, you can reach it. It's just that bar you want low. I think you're probably low.
No,
anyway.
you certainly do not set it low. So we appreciate everything you have been doing for the event and for the community very, very much.
Yeah, and the ability to recap in a short 30 minutes everything that you've been working on for so long throughout the year to bring this together is really good. So, and quick shout out to Jenna Green, who helps pull all this together. I know she does a lot in the background to make it all happen for the press and media as well. So with that, everybody listening, hopefully you have a good picture of what the 25th anniversary Black Hat Con will be all about. Some of the folks you get to hear from, some of the conversations you can be part of, the topics you can learn about, and hopefully you'll follow Marco and I on our journey to Las Vegas, and hopefully back from Vegas as well. Our chats on the road, and while we're there, real time streaming live. So thanks everybody. Stay tuned to BHDC22 on ITSPmagazine. That's /BHDC22. Catch you on the next one. Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Pantera, the leader in automation security validation, allows organizations to continuously test the integrity of all cybersecurity layers by emulating real-world attacks at scale to pinpoint the exploitable vulnerabilities and prioritize remediation towards business impact. Learn more at www.pantera.io.
EdgeScan offers continuous vulnerability intelligence as a service, accurately identifying vulnerabilities and exposures across the full stack. All threats are verified by cybersecurity experts, providing exploitable risk and remediation guidance, virtually false positive free. Learn more at edgescan.com.
CrowdSec, the collaborative and open source cybersecurity solution. Analyze behaviors, respond to attacks, and share signals across the community for free. Let's make the internet safer together. Learn more at crowdsec.net. We hope you enjoyed this episode of our On Location Conversation. If you learned something new and this podcast made you think, then share ITSPmagazine.com with your friends, family, and colleagues. If you represent a company and wish to associate your brand with our conversations, sponsor one or more of our podcast channels. We hope you will come back for more stories and follow us on our journey. You can always find us at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society.